The night the truth finally broke open in the Caldwell mansion began with a sound no one expected. A child's terrified whisper behind a closed door. That whisper led to a confession, a confrontation, and a revelation that would shatter every lie holding this family together. Grace had no idea that stepping into Ethan's world would pull her straight into a storm of buried trauma, custody battles, and a love powerful enough to challenge fear itself. But if you stay with me until the end, you'll see the moment everything changes. The moment a broken man chooses to fight for the people he loves. The night everything in Ethan Caldwell's life shifted started with something as stupid as a rug. Rain hammered the windows of the cliffside mansion, wind howling off the Pacific like it wanted to tear the house from the hill. Inside, the Caldwell estate was all polished marble, glass, and silence. Too much silence. The kind that made even a millionaire feel small. Ethan's wheelchair snagged on the corner of the Persian rug in the front hall. The world tilted. He felt it happen in slow motion. The front wheels catching, his body pitching sideways. That sick drop in his stomach as gravity yanked him toward the floor. Panic slammed into him like a truck. His heart went wild, his chest locked. His brain flashed back to white hospital lights. The smell of antiseptic, hands all over his body and fake sweet whispers in his ear. Not again, not again, not helpless. "Don't touch me," he shouted, breath exploding from his lungs as the chair lurched. But the impact never came. Strong arms caught his shoulders, steadying him, forcing the wheelchair back onto all four wheels. Fingers wrapped around his upper arm, just for a second, grounding him in the present. "I've got you," a woman's voice said, low and breathless. "Just hold still." The contact made his skin crawl and his pulse roar in his ears. He almost couldn't hear her over the rush of fear. "Get off me," Ethan gasped, voice cracking. "Don't touch me. Let go." But the stranger didn't bolt, didn't flinch. She kept him upright another heartbeat, then carefully eased her grip away. That was when they both heard it. "Grace!" Mrs. Hargrove's voice cut through the hall like a whip. The 60-year-old housekeeper marched toward them, gray bun pinned tight, eyes blazing. "What did I tell you on your first day? You never ever touch Mr. Caldwell. Under no circumstance." The younger woman stood frozen beside the chair, dark hair pulled back in a tight bun, plain cleaning uniform, rubber-soled shoes, a faint shine of sweat on her forehead. Her hands were still trembling. She looked less like a maid and more like someone who just stepped away from a car crash. "He was going to fall," she said quietly, her voice steady but shaking underneath. "I couldn't just watch." "You're done here," Mrs. Hargrove snapped. "Pack your things. You're fired." Ethan dragged air into his lungs, fighting to slow his breathing. The edges of his vision faded from red back to color. His heart was still racing, but the world had stopped spinning. "Mrs. Hargrove," he rasped, "give us a minute." Both women turned toward him in surprise. "Sir?" the housekeeper asked, thrown off. "Leave us," he said, voice low but clearer now. "Please." Mrs. Hargrove did not like that at all, but she obeyed, shooting Grace a lethal look before disappearing down the corridor and pulling a door shut with a final, disapproving click. The mansion went quiet again. Too quiet. Ethan forced himself to look at the woman who had touched him. The rule he'd made after his life blew up was simple. No one touched him. Not the staff, not his lawyers, not even his daughter, not really. Distance kept him breathing, but this woman had broken that rule. She stood there, hands clasped to keep them from shaking, eyes fixed on his face, or maybe on his arm. Her gaze was laser sharp, glued to one small pale mark on his skin, a crescent-shaped scar on his left forearm. "Why are you staring at me like that?" Ethan snapped, more defensive than angry. "You want to watch the freak have a panic attack?" Her throat bobbed as she swallowed. "How long have you had that scar?" she asked softly. "What does that matter?" he shot back. "Please," she said, and something in her voice didn't sound like a scared new employee anymore. It sounded personal. "Just answer." "Since I was a kid," he muttered. 8, 9, I don't remember exactly." Her eyes shone. "Do you remember how you got it?" He almost told her to get out, but the question yanked on something buried deep, behind all the broken bones and shattered trust. A backyard, a too-thin maple tree pretending to be a ship's mast, plastic swords, a girl with wild hair, and a laugh louder than his fear. "A tree branch," he said slowly, the memory surfacing like something dragged up from the bottom of a lake. "We were playing pirates. She scratched me by accident." The woman exhaled like she'd been holding that breath for 20 years. "You cried," she whispered, a half laugh, half sob. And I cried more than you did because I thought your mom would never let you play with me again." He went very, very still. "Who are you?" he asked. "Grace Miller," she answered right automatically, then added in a trembling voice, "You used to call me Gracie from Pinebrook. Next door. House with the squeaky screen door and the broken swing." The names hit him like a wave. Pinebrook. Gracie. The girl who climbed trees higher than he dared. The girl who pushed him to jump off the shed roof into a pile of leaves and laughed when he chickened out. The girl his family left behind when everything changed. "You're lying," he said, but it didn't come out strong. It came out scared. "I wish I were," she said, "but I remember that scar. I gave it to you, and you made me promise I'd never let go if you fell." He looked at his arm, at the scar he'd always thought of as a random childhood accident. It suddenly wasn't random at all. "You're Gracie," he murmured, "from the maple tree." She smiled, eyes wet. "Still your worst pirate first mate." He stared at her like she'd stepped out of a ghost story. For a second, the walls of the mansion blurred, and all he could see was two kids in a patchy backyard, turning a rotten fence into the edge of the world. Then the present rushed back in, the wheelchair beneath him, the way his chest still hurt, the fact that she had touched him. "Why are you here?" he demanded, that cold edge sliding back into his voice. "You just randomly applied at this house?" "I applied to clean an estate," she said. "I had no idea it was yours. The job post didn't say childhood home of your long-lost neighbor." "And you tell me I need this job that badly?" he asked, suspicion creeping in. People always needed something from him: money, reputation, access. No one just showed up. She took a slow breath, like she was about to step off a cliff. "I have a son, Noah. He's 8. He has a heart condition. His meds and cardiology visits cost more than our rent. I'll scrub every floor in this house twice a day if it keeps him healthy." There it was, not greed, not manipulation, desperation. He heard it in the way her voice thinned on the word cardiology. He had enough money to buy a hospital. She was fighting to afford one appointment. "What happened to you, Gracie?" he asked before he could stop himself. Her mouth twitched. "Life happened. Bad choices, bad luck, wrong guy. But I got Noah out of it, so I still call it a win." The Ethan the town whispered about wanted to send her away, to cut the scene off here before the past could get claws into him. Before this woman with his childhood in her eyes could break through the armored distance he'd built around himself. Instead, he heard himself say, "You can stay." Grace blinked. "But Mrs. Hargrove fired me." "She doesn't own the house," he replied. "I do. You can stay, with conditions." There was the Ethan everyone knew again, controlled, cold, infuriatingly precise. "What conditions?" she asked quietly. "You never touched me without permission," he said. "Ever. Not to steady me, not to help. If I fall, I fall. Understood?" The rule cut her. He could see it, but she nodded. "Understood." He wasn't finished. "Second, you never mentioned Pinebrook or Gracie or any of this to anyone," he continued. "Both the staff, not the press, not my daughter. Our past stays ours." "Okay," she agreed. "And third?" "You work like everyone else," he said. "No special treatment, no old friend favors. You're not here as charity or nostalgia." That last word tasted bitter, even as he said it. A flicker of pain crossed her face, but she straightened her shoulders. "I didn't come here for nostalgia or charity," she said. "I came because my son needs to breathe without a monitor telling me his heart is failing. A paycheck from you keeps him alive. That's the only favor I'm asking for." He believed her. "Fine," he said. "Then we have a deal." She turned to go. He almost let her. "Grace," he called. She looked back, eyes questioning. "Thank you," he said, the words scraping their way out, "for not letting me hit the floor." Her mouth curved, not a flirt, not a smirk, something warmer, older. "Anytime, Captain." The old nickname cut through him like sunlight through a locked room. Days later, the mansion felt different. Grace didn't act like the other staff. She didn't tiptoe around him like he might explode, but she didn't crowd him either. She learned how to vacuum the hall without crossing into his space. She learned the rhythms of his day, the moments when he wanted coffee left outside his office door, and the moments when silence was the only thing he could stand. She didn't ask about the wheelchair. She didn't ask why. When his daughter came to visit, he never pulled her into his lap. She just watched. The first time Grace saw Lily, the little girl barreled into the living room with a backpack bouncing against her shoulders, blonde hair flying, eyes too old for 7. "Mata!" she called, skidding to a stop when she saw Grace with a dust cloth in hand. "Who's that?" Ethan's hand twitched on his armrest. "This is Grace," he said. "She works here." Grace heard everything he didn't say. "She used to be my neighbor. She saw me before the chair. She knew me when I climbed trees instead of planning board meetings." Lily offered a shy smile. "Hi, I'm Lily, but you can call me Lil." "Hi, Lily," Grace said softly. "It's nice to meet you." What gutted Grace wasn't the way Lily stood a safe distance from the wheelchair. It was the way Ethan stayed a safe distance from her. No hug, no ruffle of her hair, no instinctive pull toward his own child. "You staying the whole weekend?" he asked. "Grandma said I could," Lily said, "if it's okay." "It's more than okay," he replied. His voice softened in a way Grace had never heard before. "We'll make pancakes tomorrow." Lily's face lit up. "With chocolate chips?" "Is there any other kind?" he asked. They smiled at each other like two people standing on opposite sides of a glass wall. Grace felt something twist in her chest. She'd seen parents ignore their kids before. This wasn't that. This was a man who loved his daughter and stillborn somehow couldn't reach for her. That night, when the house had gone quiet and the wind outside had calmed to a low moan, Grace heard a muffled sound from Ethan's office. A choked curse. The slam of something hitting the floor. She hesitated in the doorway, remembering his rule. No touching, no getting too close. But when she saw him, she forgot to be scared. Ethan was in his chair, hands gripping the armrest so tightly his knuckles were white. His breathing came in short, sharp bursts. Sweat glistened at his temples. His eyes were unfocused, like he wasn't entirely in the room. "Don't let her touch me," he muttered. "Don't let her touch me. Don't—" "Ethan," she said, staying a careful distance away. "You're in your office. You're safe. It's Grace. No one else is here." He blinked, the present flickering back into view. "I just need my meds," he rasped. She spotted the pill bottle on his desk and handed it over, careful not to brush his fingers. This time, the only thing that touched him was the truth in her eyes. He swallowed a pill with shaking hands. "You have these attacks often?" she asked quietly. "Sometimes," he answered. "When I remember things I'd rather forget." "From the accident?" she asked. His laugh was harsh and empty. "No, from what came after. The part where my wife turned my broken body into a business plan." The words hung in the space between them, darker than the storm outside. Grace didn't know what happened in that hospital or in this house when the front door was closed and the world stopped watching. Not yet. But she knew one thing as clearly as she knew her own name. This man was haunted, and for the first time since the night she'd scratched his arm under that skinny maple tree, she wanted to be the one who refused to let go when he fell. If you were in Grace's place, would you stay in that mansion with Ethan and his secrets? Or walk away to protect your heart and your child? Yes or no? Grace learned quickly that the Caldwell mansion had two kinds of silence. One was ordinary silence, the peaceful kind that filled big houses at night. The other was heavier, thick like fog, hovering around Ethan whenever memories cornered him. That second kind of silence wrapped itself around the house the morning Lily returned to her mother's place for the week. Grace watched Ethan from the kitchen doorway as he stared at the empty breakfast table, a half-finished plate of pancakes going cold. His shoulders tightened the way they had in the office the night before, like someone invisible was twisting something inside him. He didn't see her watching. He didn't see how gently she moved through the room, placing her cleaning supplies down without a sound, as if respecting a grief he never said out loud. "Do you want breakfast reheated?" she asked softly. He blinked as if he'd been underwater. "No, I'm fine." He wasn't. Anyone could see he wasn't, but Ethan Caldwell was the kind of man who would rather sit in a burning house than admit it was on fire. Grace didn't push. She just picked up, threw the plate, wrapped it, and stored it in the fridge. She cleaned around him. She kept herself busy, moving quietly, letting him breathe. That was the thing about Grace. She made space without making a scene. But that afternoon, everything in the mansion shifted again. Grace was vacuuming upstairs when she heard the front door open. A woman's voice drifted up the staircase, sharp, cold, cracking like ice under pressure. "Ethan, we need to talk." Grace froze. The vacuum hummed against the carpet until she switched it off. The house fell silent except for the rain starting to fall again outside. She stepped closer to the railing. A woman stood in the foyer, blonde hair perfectly blown out, pearl earrings, tailored coat, expensive, polished, flawless, but somehow brittle. Valerie Dalton, Ethan's ex-wife. Ethan's jaw tightened the moment he saw her. "You're early, and you weren't answering your phone," Valerie snapped, "so I drove down." Grace knew the type. She'd cleaned houses for women like her, women who didn't knock, women who believed every door opened for them. Valerie finally noticed Grace at the top of the stairs. One quick, slicing look. "Who is that?" she demanded. "A member of the staff," Ethan said, clipped and cool. Valerie's brows lifted. "Since when do you hire 20-year-olds to wander around upstairs?" She crossed her arms. "You always hated young staff. Too unpredictable, you said." "Since when is it your business?" Ethan shot back. Grace started to retreat, but Valerie's voice pinned her mid-step. "Actually, it is my business. Everything about this house is my business until the custody review is final." Custody review. The words landed like an arrow. Grace's breath caught. She didn't know the details, but the truth was suddenly clear. Valerie wasn't here to visit, or to co-parent, or to talk. She was here to take. The argument pulled them into the living room. Grace shouldn't have stayed, she knew that. But something in her legs refused to move. She hovered near the stairs, listening. "You promised not to involve my personal life in this," Ethan said. "And you promised to cooperate," Valerie snapped. "Which you're not doing. Lily told me you never left the house with her this weekend." Ethan's shoulders stiffened. "We played board games, we watched movies. She loved it." "She also asked me why you won't hug her," Valerie said flatly. Grace's breath stopped. Ethan's voice cracked around the edges. "That's not..." She misunderstood. "Did she?" Valerie stepped closer. "The court wants evidence, Ethan. They want proof you can parent actively, physically. You can't even touch your own daughter." "That's enough," he growled. "And then," she added, venom sharpening her tone, "Lily mentioned the new maid." Grace flinched. "What about her?" Ethan asked. "Lily said she likes her," Valerie continued. "Said she feels calmer when the maid is around. That the maid listens. That the maid talks to her." "And," Ethan challenged, "and that is exactly what I'm talking about," she snapped. "You have been delegating emotional labor to staff for years. You can't handle connection. You outsource it." Grace felt that one like a punch. Ethan looked like he'd taken one too. "You're twisting everything," he whispered. "I'm protecting my daughter," Valerie replied coldly, "and I'm asking for full custody. I already filed." Grace gasped before she could stop herself. Valerie looked up, annoyed. "Do you mind? This is private." That broke the spell. Grace backed away, but Ethan's voice stopped her. "Grace," he said quietly, "stay." She froze in the doorway. Valerie's eyes narrowed. "You're joking." Ethan turned to Grace. "You found me during a panic attack last night. You saw it. Tell her I'm stable." Grace opened her mouth, then closed it. Stable wasn't the right word, but helpless wasn't either. She stepped forward, choosing her words carefully. "Ethan may struggle, but he loves Lily. He's gentle with her. He tries. He really tries." Valerie let out a sharp laugh. "Sweetheart, I don't need a maid giving me parenting evaluations." Grace went pale. Ethan's eyes darkened. "Don't talk to her like that." "Oh," Valerie said, amused. "So now you're defending her. How cute." Grace clenched her fists, but Ethan kept going, colder and more controlled than before. "Get out," he said. "We're done talking." "You think you can push me out?" Valerie sneered. "Once a judge sees your episodes, your limitations, Lily will be with me." She turned on her heels and walked out the front door, slamming it hard enough to rattle the chandeliers. The silence that followed was suffocating. Grace stood there, heart pounding, hands still shaking. Ethan stared at the door, jaw clenched, knuckles white on the armrests of his chair. "She's going to take her," he whispered. "No," Grace said gently. "She won't." "But you don't understand," Ethan murmured. "Valerie is ruthless. She knows exactly where I'm weak, and she knows how to weaponize it." Grace stepped closer without touching him. "You are not weak. You're traumatized. There's a difference." He let out a shuddered breath. "A judge won't care." "I will," she said. He looked up slowly. Their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them, something that felt like trust reaching through fear. Grace added quietly, "And Lily will too. She already sees you." He swallowed hard. "You don't know what you're signing up for." "Then help me understand," she whispered. "Let me help you." He closed his eyes. "I don't know how." "We'll figure it out," she said, "one thing at a time." But the truth was this: helping him would cost her something. Time, energy, maybe more. And she had Noah. That night, when she returned to her small apartment in Pinebrook, Noah was curled on the couch with a blanket and his stuffed bear. "Mom, you're late," he said sleepily. Grace kissed his forehead. "I know, baby. I'm sorry." Noah touched her cheek. You look sad. She forced a smile. Just a hard day at work. Is your boss mean? She thought of Ethan's panic, Valerie's cruelty, Lily's quiet eyes. No, she whispered. He's not mean. He's sad too? Noah asked. Grace's breath caught. Yeah, he is. Noah nodded, thoughtful in the way only children can be. Then maybe you should stay until he's not sad. Grace closed her eyes. That was the moment she realized something. She wasn't staying in that house for the paycheck anymore. She was staying for the people inside it. If you were Grace, trying to raise a child alone while helping someone as broken and guarded as Ethan, would you keep helping him even if it meant risking your own heart? Yes or no? For the next 2 weeks, the Caldwell mansion felt like a house holding its breath. Valerie's custody threat became a storm cloud hanging over every room. Ethan tried to pretend he wasn't terrified, but Grace saw through him. She saw it in the way he tightened his grip every time his phone buzzed, in the way he glanced at the door whenever footsteps echoed upstairs, in the way he watched old photos of Lily on his tablet late at night, replaying memories as if they were slipping through his fingers. One evening, while he sat in the study reviewing the custody paperwork, his hands suddenly began to shake. Grace noticed from across the room. Take a break, she said softly. I can't, he murmured. Valerie's attorney is building a case around my so-called instability. You are not unstable. Grace, he whispered, looking up. I can barely hold my daughter without feeling like I'm suffocating. She walked closer, but stopped at his boundary line. Then let's fix it. Let's start small, little steps. You don't have to do this alone. He shook his head, drained. I don't know how to fix a mind that doesn't listen. You don't fix it, as she said. You walk through it. He stared at her for a long moment, then quietly whispered, show me. That night, she guided him through breathing exercises, grounding techniques, simple movements to get him used to physical proximity. She never touched him, never crossed the line. She simply stayed close enough that he knew he wasn't alone. He made progress slowly, painfully, but undeniably. And one afternoon, everything shifted again. Lily arrived early, bouncing into the house with a burst of sunshine in her hair. She dropped her backpack the moment she saw Ethan in the living room. Ethan flinched, then caught himself. Grace stayed nearby, silent encouragement in her eyes. Lily rushed forward, stopping right beside him, small hands gripping the armrest of his wheelchair. The moment stretched thin. Ethan took a breath so deep it trembled. Come here, Lil, he whispered. She leaned in, waiting. He reached out, slowly, clumsily, but bravely, and placed his hand over hers. His fingers shook, but he didn't pull back. Lily beamed, her eyes shining with pride rather than fear. You did it, she whispered. Ethan felt something break open inside him. Not pain, not panic, relief. Grace watched from the corner, her heart full. It was the first time she'd seen the wall around Ethan truly crack. By the following week, he was able to hug Lily for the first time in 2 years. It was awkward and shaky and short, but it was real. That progress couldn't have come at a better time, because 3 days before the custody evaluation, Valerie arrived again, this time with polished confidence, a smirk carved into her face. I hope you've prepared your explanation, she said sweetly. The evaluator will want to know how you plan to parent a child you can't even hold. Ethan didn't look rattled. Not this time. He nodded toward the hallway. Lily, can you come here for a second? Lily came running. Ethan opened his arms, hesitant but determined. Lily stepped right into them, his arms wrapped around her back, his breathing hitched, but he stayed with it. Valerie's jaw dropped. Lily glanced over her shoulder. Mom, she said firmly, Dad's not scared of me. He just needed time. Valerie blinked, thrown off balance. Ethan added, and I needed the right people around me. His eyes flicked toward Grace. Valerie followed his gaze. Oh, she said sharply, so this is her doing? Yes, Ethan said. She helped me face everything you mocked me for. Valerie let out a cold laugh. You think this changes anything? Grace stepped forward before Ethan could speak. Actually, yes, she said quietly. I wrote a statement for the court. Something Lily said the day she watched you two argue. Valerie's expression tightened. And what's that supposed to be? That the thing Lily fears most isn't her father's trauma, Grace said. It's your anger. Valerie paled. You're lying. Lily's small voice broke the tension. Mom, sometimes you scare me. The words landed like a thunderclap. Valerie stiffened. Her eyes flicked between her daughter and her ex-husband. For the first time, she didn't look angry. She looked wounded, exposed, small. She stepped back toward the door. We're done here. When she left, Lily curled up by Ethan's side. He brushed his hand over her hair, slower, steadier this time. The custody evaluator arrived the next morning. What happened surprised everyone. Valerie didn't fight. She told the evaluator the truth. Ethan had changed. Lily adored him, and she herself had handled things poorly. It wasn't defeat. It was surrender to reality. Ethan won joint custody. More importantly, he won Lily's trust back. When the evaluator left, Ethan sagged with relief. Grace went to his side instinctively, stopping before touching him. But this time, he reached first. He held her wrist gently, eyes soft but full of something deeper than gratitude. "Grace, I don't know how we found each other again, but I'm glad we did." She smiled, tears threatening. "Me too." Lily and Noah, who had grown close like siblings, burst into the room laughing. The sound was warm, bright, alive. Ethan watched them play, a smile tugging at his mouth. "This," he said softly, "feels like a family." Grace inhaled sharply. "Does that scare you?" He looked at her with a steadiness she hadn't seen before. "Not anymore." That night, under the soft glow of the Pacific sunset, Ethan wheeled onto the back terrace. Grace stepped beside him, leaning against the railing. Noah and Lily chased each other across the lawn, giggling. "I used to hate this view," Ethan admitted. "It reminded me of everything I lost." "And now?" Grace asked. He turned toward her. "Now it looks like everything I could still build." She felt her heart catch. He wasn't asking. He was inviting. A life, a chance, a second beginning. Grace slipped her hand into his. No fear this time, no hesitation. Ethan held on. For the first time in years, he didn't feel like he was falling. He felt like he was finally home. Before I end this story, I want to ask you something from the heart. Did this ending make you feel something real? Yes or no? If you listened all the way through, please comment below and let me know what part touched you most. Tell me which country you are watching from, and if you'd like more stories like this, remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell next to the subscribe button for new videos, and share this story so more people can feel its message of hope.